The door to Edward's apartment swung open with a creak that echoed like a bad omen. And there he was, shirtless, sweat slicked from whatever half-assed workout he'd abandoned. His jeans slung low on his hips, a beer in one hand and that crooked grin plastered on his face like nothing in the world could touch him. "Alex, man, you saved my life," he said, pulling me into a bear hug that smelled of cheap soap and desperation, his stubble scraping my cheek before he released me with a laugh that didn't reach his eyes. I stepped inside, the chaos of his Brooklyn walk-up hitting me like a sucker punch, piles of laundry avalanching off the couch, pizza boxes stacked like Jenga towers, and in the corner of the living room, a forgotten guitar case gathering dust, strings probably snapped from neglect. I'd known Edward since freshman year at NYU, back when we were both broke kids chasing dreams in the city that chews them up and spits them out. He was the golden boy star quarterback in high school, now slinging code for some fintech startup in Midtown, always one promotion away from the big leagues. Straight as an arrow, or so everyone thought, with a string of girlfriends who'd come and go like seasons in Central Park. Me, I was the quiet one, the film major turned barista at that hipster spot in Williamsburg, nursing crushes I buried deeper than my student loans. We'd bonded over late-night smokes on fire escapes, trading stories about our fucked-up families. His dad the retired cop who still called him Champ, mine the absent professor who'd bailed when I came out at 16. Edward was my straight best friend, the guy who'd punch anyone who looked at me wrong, the one who'd crash on my couch after a breakup, swearing off women forever before diving back in. Today was different, though. He texted at dawn. "Dude, emergency. Room's a disaster. Help, beer's on me." I should have said no, had a shift at the cafe, a script deadline looming, but Edward's texts always had that pull, like gravity I couldn't fight. So here I was, dodging a rogue sock as he led me to the bedroom, the air thick with the stale funk of unwashed sheets and regret. "Jesus. This looks like a tornado fucked a landfill," I said, kicking aside a tangle of extension cords. He laughed, that deep rumble that always made my stomach twist in ways it shouldn't, and tossed me a trash bag. "Blame Ronald. That asshole sublet the place for a month while I was crashing at his spot in Queens. Came back to this shitshow. Ronald, Edward's cousin, the slick lawyer from Philly who'd breezed into town last summer, all charm and tailored suits, crashing with Ed before vanishing to some high-rise gig upstate. I'd met him once, at a rooftop party in Bushwick, where he'd clapped me on the back too hard and whispered something about Edward being lucky to have a bro like you, creepy in hindsight, but I'd brushed it off. We dove in, me sorting the detritus of Edward's life, faded concert stubs from his emo phase, a dog-eared copy of On the Road with margins scribbled in his chicken-scratch handwriting, while he blasted Springsteen from a Bluetooth speaker, belting out Thunder Road off-key. It was normal, easy, the kind of afternoon that made the city's grind bearable. Until I yanked open the closet door. The hinges groaned like a dying animal, and a cascade of boxes tumbled out, burying my feet in cardboard and forgotten relics. "Whoa! Steady there," Edward chuckled from across the room, where he was wrestling a duffel bag zipper. I knelt, shoving stuff back in, my fingers brushing something soft, a leather-bound journal, its cover cracked like old skin. Curiosity's a bitch. I flipped it open before I could stop myself. The first page hit like a freight train. If you're reading this, I'm sorry. But I can't keep pretending. Last night. God, your touch. It wasn't just the whiskey. Meet me at the pier? My heart slammed against my ribs, the room tilting. Ronald. And Edward. The words blurred. But not the date 3 months ago. The night of that party. I slammed it shut, heat flooding my face, a roar building in my ears. Edward's voice cut through. Find anything good? Buried treasure. I stood, journal clutched like a grenade, and turned. He was there, closer than I'd realized, his grin fading as he clocked my expression. Alex, what's up? You tell me, I whispered, voice cracking like thin ice. The journal hit the floor between us, pages splaying open like spilled guts. Edward's eyes dropped, and the color drained from his face, blue eyes widening, then shuddering in panic. Fuck, he breathed, sinking onto the bed's edge, head in hands. Alex, it's not shit. It's not what you think, but it was. Oh, it so fucking was. My straight best friend, the one who'd high-fived me through every Grindr disaster, every awkward family dinner where I'd played the invisible gay kid, Edward had been tangled up with Ronald. Kissing him. Touching him. At the pier under the Manhattan Bridge, waves lapping like guilty whispers. The silence stretched, broken only by the distant wail of an ambulance slicing through Brooklyn's veins. I wanted to bolt, to erase this moment like a bad take in a student film. But my feet wouldn't move. Edward looked up, wrecked, his voice raw. I didn't mean for you to find out like this. Hell, I didn't mean for anyone to find out. Find out what? I spat, the words tasting like bile. That you're not as straight as you pretend? Or that you lied to me? For how long? He flinched, and something inside me cracked wide open. This wasn't just about him. It was every sidelong glance I'd stolen over the years, every just friends hug that lingered too long, every what if I drowned in black coffee and bad poetry. Edward, my Edward, had been hiding in plain sight, and now the closet door was blown off its hinges. We didn't clean the rest of the room that day. Beers went flat on the nightstand as Edward spilled it all in halting bursts. The confusion starting in college. The drunken kiss with a frat brother he buried under keg stands and girls' names. Then Ronald, sweeping in like a summer storm, older, assured, whispering permissions Edward didn't know he craved. It was just exploration, he said, eyes on the floor. No one had to know. Until you. Exploration. The word hung there, casual as a shrug, slicing deeper than any confession. I laughed, bitter and broken, and grabbed my jacket. Congrats on the coming out party. Hope the cake's rainbow. Alex. Wait. He lunged, grabbing my wrist, his grip fire and plea. Our eyes locked, and for a heartbeat, the air crackled, not with anger, but something electric, forbidden. His thumb brushed my pulse point, and I swear the world narrowed to that touch, the heat of his skin against mine. I yanked free, bolting into the hallway, the door slamming like a guillotine. Down the stairs, out into the gray November drizzle, Brooklyn blurring through tears I wouldn't let fall. My phone buzzed. Edward, please. Talk to me. I silenced it, hailing a cab that reeked of wet dog and regret. Back in my shoebox in bed Stewie, I paced until the walls closed in, replaying the journal's ink like a cursed reel. Ronald, suave, Secret of Ronald had cracked Edward open, and I'd been the fool sweeping up the shards. But as the night deepened, whiskey burning my throat, doubt crept in. Was this betrayal? Or just the brutal truth of wanting what we couldn't name? Little did I know, the real storm was just breaking. The next week was a masterclass in avoidance, ghosting texts, dodging mutual friends at the local dive bar, burying myself in double shifts at the cafe where the espresso machine's hiss drowned out the what-ifs. Edward's face haunted me, not the panicked one from the bedroom, but the easy one from Fire Escape Confessions, when we'd chain-smoke Camels and debate Scorsese versus Tarantino till dawn. How many of those nights had been laced with his secrets? How many of my silences had screamed louder than I knew? Williamsburg in late fall is a cruel beauty. Leaves carpeting the sidewalks in rust and gold. Hipsters in flannel clutching oat milk lattes like talismans against the chill. I slung drinks to trust fund kids scripting their own dramas, forcing smiles while my mind looped Edward's touch on my wrist, the unintended spark that had lingered like smoke. By Friday, the dam broke. A voicemail. His voice gravel rough. "Alex, I'm at the Rusty Nail. Come. Please. I owe you the whole story. The Rusty Nail, our spot, tucked off Bedford Avenue, with its scarred wooden bar and jukebox stocked with Springsteen bootlegs." I told myself it was closure, not hope, as I pushed through the door into the haze of neon and regret. Edward was in our booth, nursing a whiskey neat, his broad shoulders hunched under a leather jacket that smelled like home. He looked up, relief flooding his face, and for a second, I almost turned tail. "You came," he said, sliding a stool out with his foot. No bullshit preamble, just that, and a second glass poured for me. "Yeah, well, curiosity killed the cat," I muttered, sliding in across from him. The booth's vinyl creaked, a familiar groan. Close. The shadows under his eyes were canyons, stubble silvered with stress. He wasn't the invincible Ed anymore. He was human, cracked, and it twisted something fierce in my chest. We clinked glasses in uneasy truce, the burn of bourbon loosening tongues. He started slow college fumblings, the pressure of his dad's expectations, the parade of girlfriends as camouflage. "I thought it was phases," he admitted, staring into his drink like it held answers. "Until Ronald. He saw me. Really saw me. Made it feel safe. You know? No judgments. Safe." The word landed like a slap. And me? Was I just the beard's best friend? The safe straight space. His head snapped up. Eyes fierce. "Fuck no. You are the one constant. The guy who'd call me on my shit. Make me laugh when I wanted to punch walls. Alex, you've been my anchor since day one. Anchor." It warmed and wounded, pulling me under. I leaned in, voice low. Then why hide it? Why let me think I was the only idiot pining in the shadows? Pining. The word slipped out, raw and unfiltered, and the booth went still. Edward's gaze sharpened, searching my face like he'd missed a cue in a script we both knew by heart. "You pined? For me?" Heat clawed up my neck. Too late to backpedal. Years. Subtle as a sledgehammer, I'm sure. But yeah. Every goddamn time you brought home another girl, or crashed on my couch reeking of perfume that wasn't yours. He exhaled, slow and shattered, running a hand through his hair. "Christ, Alex. I thought. I hoped. Maybe. But I was too chicken shit to test it. What if I ruined us? You're my best friend. The only one who gets the mess inside." The jukebox kicked over to Dancing in the Dark, Bruce's gravelly plea filling the spaces between us. Edward's hand inched across the table, fingers brushing mine, hesitant, electric. I didn't pull away. Instead, I turned my palm up, letting our fingers lace, the simple act a dam breaking. His thumb traced my knuckle, and the bar faded, the drunks at the pool table, the bartender's knowing smirk, until it was just us, two boys on the edge of something vast and terrifying. We stumbled out into the night, arms slung casual around shoulders, but the air hummed with new gravity. My place was closer, a third-floor walk-up with creaky stairs and a view of nothing but brick. Inside, the lamp's glow cast us in gold, Edward shedding his jacket like armor. "Can I stay?" he murmured, close enough that his breath ghosted my ear. I nodded, throat tight, and pulled him down onto the couch. Our first kiss was clumsy, teeth clacking, noses bumping like teenagers fumbling in the back of a Chevy. But then he sighed into my mouth, hands framing my face, and it deepened, slow and searing, tongues mapping uncharted hurt. Edward tasted like whiskey and want, his body pressing me back, solid and sure. We broke apart gasping, foreheads touching, his whisper fierce. "This is real, Alex. You and me." That night blurred into touches and confessions, his hands learning the map of my skin, my fingers threading his hair as he whispered apologies into my collarbone. We didn't sleep much, talking till the sky lightened, about Ronald's ghost, the fear that had chained us. "He was a bridge," Edward said, tracing lazy circles on my chest. "But you're the destination." Dawn painted the room pink, and I believed him. For the first time, the city outside felt like possibility, not prison. But bridges burn, and destinations shift. Monday brought a text from an unknown number. "We need to talk." About Ed. Or Ronald. Back from upstate, or wherever cowards flee. My stomach nodded, but I deleted it. Edward was mine now, ours, and no ghost would haunt that. Famous last thoughts. Work dragged. The cafe's chatter a dull roar. By closing, my phone buzzed again, a photo attachment. Edward, mid-kiss with Ronald, time-stamped last week, after our rusty nail truce. The pier, waves mocking in the background. Caption, "He's playing you both. Meet me." Coffee, betrayals blade twists slow. I forwarded it to Edward, rage blurring my vision. "Explain this." His reply, "Shit. Call me. Now." We met in Washington Square Park, arch looming like judgment. Edward arrived disheveled, eyes wild. "It's not," Ronald cornered me. Said he was leaving for good. Needed closure. One drink turned into. I swear, Alex, it meant nothing, nothing. The word echoed the journal's plea. Closure? While you're in my bed. While we're building something. He reached for me, desperate. "I love you, Alex. This us, it's everything." Ronald's poison always has been love. He said it casual as breathing, but it landed like lightning. I wanted to believe, to drown in those blue eyes. But doubt rooted deep, thorny and unrelenting. "Prove it," I challenged, voice steel. "Cut him off." "For good." Edward nodded, fierce. "Done. Block his number. Burn the bridge." We walked back hand in hand, the park's jazz buskers serenading our fragile peace. That night, he deleted Ronald's contact in front of me, phone smashing against the wall in cathartic shards. Laughter followed, then lovemaking tender, reclaiming, bodies sinking like they'd always known the rhythm. For a week, it was bliss. Stolen lunches in Bryant Park, his head on my shoulder during movie nights, whispers of futures in a city that never sleeps. Edward even met my mom over FaceTime, her Brooklyn skepticism melting under his charm. "He's a keeper, Bubba," she said, and I almost believed we'd outrun the storm. Then the knock came sharp, insistent, at 2 a.m. Edward bolted upright, face ashen. "Don't answer," he begged. But I was already at the door, peering through the peephole. Ronald stood there, rain-soaked and spectral, eyes hollow. "Alex," he called, voice muffled but magnetic. "Let me in. You deserve the truth." Edward groaned behind me, burying his face in his hands. The lock clicked under my fingers, and the door swung wide. Betrayal's second act had arrived. Script unwritten, stage set for ruin. Ronald stepped inside like he owned the shadows, water pooling at his feet. His designer coat slung over one arm, revealing a crisp button-down soaked translucent against his chest. He was taller than I remembered, 6'3" easy, with that lawyer's poise, dark hair slicked back, green eyes sharp as verdicts. "Alex," he said, voice smooth as aged scotch, ignoring Edward's rigid form on the couch. "Thanks for not slamming the door." Edward surged up, fists clenched. "What the fuck are you doing here? I told you." "Closure, cousin," Ronald cut in, the word dripping irony. "You owe me that much." His gaze flicked to me, praising, and something coiled low in my gut. Not desire, but wariness, like spotting a wolf in sheep's wool. I crossed my arms, blocking the threshold. "Spit it out, then. It's late, and we've got nothing to say." He smiled, faint and fractured, hanging his coat on the rack like this was a social call. "Oh, we do." Edward's been selective with the story. He moved to the kitchenette, helping himself to a glass of water, the casual invasion grating my nerves. Edward hovered, torn between fury and flight, his earlier bravado crumbling. "Sit," Ronald said, gesturing to the table scarred from too many takeout spills. Against my better judgment, we did me opposite him. Edward wedged beside me, thigh pressed solid against mine in silent alliance. The rain lashed the window, a frantic percussion underscoring the tension. Ronald sipped, slow, then set the glass down with deliberate clink. It started innocent. Family reunion in Philly, summer 23. Edward crashes at my place, your old sublet. Alex, ironic, huh? Beers on the porch, talking shit about Dad's homophobia, how he'd disown us both if he knew. He glanced at Edward, who stiffened. One thing led to another. A hug that lingered. A kiss that explained everything. Edward's jaw ticked. Ancient history. Why drag it up? Because it's not, Ronald pressed, leaning forward, elbows on the scarred wood. You think a month apart erases it? I came back for the job. Sure. But for you. That night at the party, Bushwick rooftops, fairy lights and firewater, you pulled me aside, said you were scared. Of labels, of losing Alex here. His eyes met mine, steady. But you didn't stop. The pier, the hotel in Midtown, every stolen hour. You whispered my name like a prayer. Lies? Truth? Edward's hand found mine under the table. Squeezing, anchor or alibi. My pulse thrummed, the room shrinking to this triangle of fractured trust. Enough, Edward growled, voice low thunder. You manipulated me, Ron. Made me feel like shit for wanting normal friends, a life without your goddamn drama. Ronald laughed, bitter edge. Normal? Hiding behind Alex's loyalty while fucking me in alleys? That's your normal. He turned to me, voice softening, confessional. He loves you, Alex. Always has. But he's terrified of you seeing the parts that aren't shiny. The queer kid Dad beat for crying at Brokeback. The man who craves both worlds and fears he'll burn in neither. The words landed heavy, humanistic gut punch, peeling back Edward's armor to reveal the boy beneath. I glanced at him, his face a mask of anguish, tears unshed. Ed, I whispered, thumb brushing his knuckles. It's true, he admitted, voice breaking. All of it. I used you both, Ron as escape, you as safety. But this, he gestured between us, desperate. This is the first real thing I've chased. Ronald's facade cracked then, shoulders slumping. I didn't come to wreck you. Just to say goodbye proper. I'm transferring to DC big firm. Fresh start. No more ghosts. He stood, retrieving his coat, but paused at the door, eyes on Edward. You were my first real love, too. Don't fuck it up again. The door clicked shut, leaving silence thicker than fog. Edward collapsed against me, sobs racking his frame, raw, unfiltered, the sound of a dam finally yielding. I held him, murmuring nonsense into his hair, the weight of his vulnerability crushing and clarifying. We're okay, I lied, because in that moment, I needed it to be true. We'll figure it. We made love that night. Not frantic reclamation but slow unraveling. Kisses like apologies. Bodies mapping forgiveness. Edward traced my scars. Literal and not, the faded line from a childhood bike wreck. The deeper ones from coming out wars. I don't deserve you, he whispered, lips to my temple. Shut up, I replied, pulling him closer. We're in this mess together. Dawn brought fragile peace. Coffee brewed strong. Edward's head on my shoulder as we scrolled job listings. His fintech gig soul-sucking. My barista grind wearing thin. Let's get out, he said suddenly. Eyes alight. Road trip. Clear our heads. Head west. Like Kerouac, see the canyons. Chase sunsets. The idea ignited something wild. American dream reckless. We packed light duffels. His guitar rest rung. My laptop for half-baked scripts. By noon, we were on I-80. Edward's truck rumbling toward Jersey. Springsteen on loop. Windows down to swallow the wind. Pennsylvania blurred into Ohio. Truck stops for greasy burgers and stolen kisses in the cab. We talked, really talked about fears unspoken. His dread of Dad's rejection. My ache for a family beyond Mom's sassy calls. Laughter wove through, easy as the miles. Edward's hand on my knee a constant hum. Chicago hit like a fever dream. Navy Pier at twilight. Ferris wheel lights dancing on the lake. Edward's arms around me from behind, chin on my shoulder. This is us, he murmured, breath warm. No hiding, we pushed on, through Iowa's flat infinities, into Nebraska's endless skies. One night, camped off Route 80 under a meteor shower, he played guitar soft chords, A song he'd written half-drunk about a boy in Brooklyn who saw through the bullshit. I cried then, stars blurring, pulling him down into the sleeping bag, our bodies a tangle of gratitude and grace. But the road tests truths, and Ronald's shadow lingered. In a Wyoming diner, Edward's phone buzzed, a text from an unknown. Miss you already. DC. Sucks without your fire. Or he showed me, jaw set. Blocked again. For good, I nodded, but the seed of doubt sprouted thorns. Was it really over? Or was Edward's love a mosaic of half-truths? Beautiful but brittle? Utah's red rocks rose like accusations. Zion's trails are confessional. Halfway up Angel's Landing, chain in hand, vertigo gripping, Edward confessed more. The guilt that gnawed him, the therapy he'd started via app, unpacking the closet's debris. I want to be whole for you, he said, voice whipped by wind. No more fragments. At the summit, vastness swallowing us, I kissed him fierce, claim and promise. Then I said. I'm here for the whole damn mess. Vegas glittered false as fool's gold. A night of neon sins we skipped for cheap motel sheets and takeout Thai. But dawn brought the call. Edward's dad, voice booming from Philly. Boy, you comin' for Thanksgiving? Bring that girl you mentioned, Sarah? Or whoever's keepin' you straight. The line went dead silent. Edward's face paling. Dad. I grabbed the phone. Mr. Harlan. It's Alex. Edwards. With me. Like, with me. Pause. Then explosion. The fuck? That fag friend? Eddie. Tell me this is a joke. Edward snatched it back. Voice steel. No joke. Dad. I'm gay. Alex is my boyfriend. Deal or don't. But I'm done pretending. The dial tone echoed like freedom's toll. Edward sagged. Then straightened. Eyes meeting mine, raw. Resolute. Your turn, he teased. Light piercing dark. Mom's next. I laughed, dialing her in the cab to LA, spilling it all over crackling line. Finally, she crowed, my boy's got taste. Bring him Sunday, I'll make kugel. California welcomed us with salt air and sun-bleached dreams. Santa Monica Pier, cotton candy kisses, Edward's laughter free as gulls. We crashed with a film school buddy in Silver Lake. Poolside scripts and stargazing lies. Here, in the sprawl of possibility, our love felt epic, cinematic, the kind of story that ends with credits rolling on hope. But epics have villains, and Ronald's return was scripted in ink. A package waited at the motel. Manila envelope. No return address. Inside photos. Grainy but damning Edward and Ronald. Post-pier. Bodies entwined in a Chelsea hotel room. Note clipped. He'll always come back. Save yourself. The climax crashed like Pacific waves. My world fracturing anew. The photos spilled across the motel bed like accusations in a noir flick. Black and white starkness capturing Edward's profile in ecstasy. Ronald's hand possessive on his hip. The hotel's gaudy headboard a mocking halo. Timestamp. 2 weeks ago. The night he'd claimed closure in D.C. My hands shook as I gathered them. Evidence burning hotter than shame. Edward walked in from the shower. Towel low. Steam curling like ghosts. And froze. Alex? What's, oh God. He snatched one. Face crumpling. This isn't, fuck. It is. But it was the last time. I swear. His voice cracked. Pleading. As he dropped to his knees before me. Towel pooling forgotten. Water dripped from his hair, tracing paths down his chest, vulnerable, beautiful, broken. Last time, I hurled the words like shrapnel, standing to tower, though my legs wobbled. You said goodbye in Brooklyn, then again in Wyoming. How many lasts before truth? Or is this your pattern? Dip into the deep end, then swim back to safe shores. He clutched my thighs. Eyes upturned, tears mixing with droplets. I went to D.C. For the interview. Ron set it up, thought it'd help my resume. Dinner turned to drinks. Drinks to nostalgia. One night, Alex. I woke hating myself, blocked him again. Came back to you hating the lie more. Nostalgia. The euphemism for betrayal, wrapped in sentiment. I paced the room, cheap carpet muffling my fury, the Pacific's roar outside an indifferent chorus. You keep choosing him, the thrill, the secrecy. What am I? The consolation prize? The straight adjacent fallback? No! He rose, grabbing my arms, pulling me close enough to feel his racing heart. You're the fire, the home. Ron's the itch I scratched till it bled. Guilt, confusion, family ties twisting it toxic. But you, God, Alex, you're the love that scares me shitless because it's real. Permanent. His words wove silk around my resolve. But thorns pricked, photos indelible proof. I shoved him back, gentle but firm. Prove it. Call him. End it. Now. Edward nodded, snatching his phone from the nightstand, dialing on speaker. Ring after ring. Then Ronald's voice, velvet over gravel. Eddie? Finally. It's over. Ron. For good. No more games. No more you. Edward's tone was iron. Eyes locked on mine. I love Alex. That's my truth. Pause. Then Ronald's laugh hollow, haunting. Love? You confuse it with comfort. Cousin. Remember Philly, the porch, your head in my lap, swearing you'd leave it all for me? That wasn't a phase. Edward flinched, but held. It was a cage. I'm free now. Lose my number. Click. Silence. Then the phones shatter against the wall. Second time in months. Catharsis in shards. He turned to me, wrecked and radiant. Believe me now? I wanted to, God. How I wanted to. Pulled him into a kiss that tasted of salt and second chances. Bodies crashing like waves denied. We didn't leave the motel that day. Sheets tangled. Confessions murmured into skin. Edward's guitar crooning apologies in minor keys. Write our story, he urged, fingers in my hair. The real one. No villains. Just us. I tried. Laptop glowing in the dusk. Keys clacking, a tale of two boys finding harbor in storm. But doubt's whisper persisted. Was Ronald the villain? Or the mirror reflecting Edward's fractures? We drove north. Big Sur's cliffs our confessional. Highway hugging ocean's edge. Wind whipping secrets from the cab. Stops for clam chowder in Monterey. Hikes where Edward carried me piggyback over streams. Laughter echoing like healing. In San Francisco, we wandered the Castro. Rainbow flags snapping like banners of belonging. Hand-holding casual as breath. Edward bought me a silver ring from a street vendor. Engraving inside, anchor and storm. Promise, he said, sliding it on. No more drifting. The city of fog and ferries softened his edges. We rode the Powellhide cable car. City sprawling below. his arm around me possessive and proud. That night, in a Haight-Ashbury Victorian, we hosted a impromptu dinner, film buddies crew, queer and loud, toasting to messy beginnings and movie endings. Edward shone, trading barbs, his hand never leaving my knee. For the first time, I saw our future tangible. Joint lease in Brooklyn, his code funding my scripts, lazy Sundays in Prospect Park. But humanism's cruel gift is complexity, and Ronald Spector resurfaced in a FedEx envelope at our next stop, Portland's rainy embrace. More photos, this batch color and recent. Edward in D.C. Post-interview, Ronald's lips on his neck in a shadowed bar. Note, he interviewed for my firm. Stayed the weekend. Ask about the tattoo. Tattoo? My blood iced. Edward had inked a small wave on his ribcage, spontaneously in Vegas. Now recontextualized as Ronald's mark, initials hidden in the curl. Confrontation hit in a Pearl District cafe. Rain sheeting windows like tears. The interview, I said, sliding the photos across for Micah. Truth. All of it. He blanched, fork pausing midair over Eggs Benedict. Yeah. He pulled strings. Dinner was professional, then slipped. The tattoo, drunk dare. Nothing more. Slipped. The word eroded trust like acid. You slipped into his bed while I waited in Brooklyn? While we planned this life. Edward's eyes welled, voice pleading. It was weakness, not want. Habit dying hard. But I'm fighting it for us. Fighting implies war, and I was collateral. I can't be your redemption arc. Not if you're still scripting with him. He reached across, desperate. Then let's end the story right. Therapy. Together. Boundaries. Whatever it takes. I wavered. The cafe's indie folk crooning melancholy anthems. Portland's vibe, craft brews and bookshops, mirrored our ache. Layered. Lingering. We walked the bridges after. Willamette glittering under street lamps. Edward's confession pouring freer. Ron's my what if, he admitted. The first who said it was okay to want men. But you're my why, the one who makes wanting enough. We flew home economy, cramped but close, fingers laced over armrests. Brooklyn greeted with bite, Thanksgiving chill, mom's kugel waiting. Edward met her proper, nervous charm winning her over, stuffing devoured amid stories of our road odyssey. He's a mensch, she whispered later, hugging me fierce. Dad's absence loomed, but Edward's presence filled it. His hand in mine under the table, a quiet revolution. Holiday blur, lights in Dumbo, ice skating at Bryant Park where he twirled me till dizzy, laughter echoing off skyscrapers. New Year's Eve, we watched the ball drop from a rooftop party. His kiss at midnight tasting of champagne and commitment. This year, he vowed, us against the world. January thawed the ice, but not the undercurrent. Edward dove into therapy, group sessions in Chelsea, unpacking closets with strangers who nodded like kin. I joined once, the circle's empathy a balm, voices weaving tales of betrayals echo. Love isn't linear, the facilitator said, and I clung to that, scripting our redemption in margins. Spring bloomed tentative. Cherry blossoms in the Botanic Garden. Edward's promotion toast with craft IPAs. My short film greenlit for Tribeca, his coding skills editing the rough cut. Ronald faded to rumor at DC. Gossip via mutuals. thriving in suits and solitude. Then summer scorched, and the call came, Edward's dad, post-heart scare, summoning him home. Make it right, I urged, kissing him at Penn Station. Family's worth the fight. He returned changed, eyes shadowed, but lighter. Told him everything. Yelled, cried, hugged it out over cheesesteaks. He's trying, Alex. For me, pride that June, rainbow floats down Fifth, Edward marching beside me, sign reading love wins, one messy step at a time. The crowd's roar drowned doubts, his body pressed to mine in the crush, alive, unapologetic. But apotheosis waits for no arc. August heat wave. An envelope slipped under our door, new lease signed, our names entwined. Inside, plane ticket to D.C. Ronald scrawl one last talk. For closure's sake. He won't go without you knowing why. The why, a letter, pages spilling Edward's youth phobias, first crush on a teammate, Ronald's intervention saving him from despair. He's my savior, it read. And you'll always be second. Climax crested that night. Edward home late from overtime. Cologne faint but foreign. Where? I demanded. Ticket on the counter. He deflated. Truth crumbling out. Tempted. Gone for the talk. Stayed for the pull. We didn't fuck. But I wanted to. To erase the guilt. The room spun. Romance's rose wilting to thorns. Go then, I whispered. Voice ash. Be his. I'm done anchoring your storms. He begged. Broke. But the door closed on his sobs. Betrayals full circle, mine now. Etched deep. The weeks post-Edward were a sepia haze. Brooklyn's pulse mocking my stasis. Subway rattles like heart skips. Coffee bitter as regret. I moved through motions. Tribeca screening applause echoing hollow. Mom's worried calls met with I'm fine lies. Friends rallied. Drag brunches in Bushwick. Script reads in lofts. But the apartment echoed his absence. Guitar case gathering dust. Our bed too vast for one. Therapy solo now. The circle's warmth a lifeline. Grief isn't linear. The facilitator echoed. And I nodded. Journaling fractures. His laugh in fire escapes. The road's reckless joy. Ronald's phantom as cautionary myth. Humanism whispered. People falter. Love's fracture. But growth germinates in ruins. Fall gilded the wound. Leaves crunching under boots. Central Park benches for solitary smokes. A chance encounter at the Rusty Nail, Edward. Hollow-cheeked. Nursing soda. Eyes lighting then dimming at my approach. Alex. We talked neutral, work. Weather, tension taut as bowstring. I'm sorry, he said finally. Voice raw. Ruined us. Chased shadows till I lost the light. I sipped my beer. Steady. You did. But I forgive you. Not for you, for me. To move. He nodded. Tears tracking. DC. Was a mistake. Ron's. Toxic. Therapy helped see that. I'm single. Figuring solo. Solo. The word freed something knotted. We parted awkward hugs. No promises, just possibilities ghost. Winter bit deep. Holidays a gauntlet. Mom's table set for two. Kugel heaped in hopeful portions. New Year's solo on the bridge. Fireworks bursting like aborted dreams. Resolve hardening. Script the pain. Alchemize hurt to art. Spring 26 bloomed rebirth. Film festival buzz. a short on closets and kin earning whispers of Sundance. Casting call brought him, Ronald, improbably, LA transplant for Pursuits Creative, green eyes contrite over headshots. Coffee? He asked post-audition, voice stripped of velvet. We met neutral Echo Park Lake, ducks quacking indifference. I'm not here to poach, he started, stirring black. Just apologize. For the photos, the notes, jealousy's ugly art. Edward broke me, too. But you deserved better, better. From the villain, layers peeled. Ronald's own scars, Philly youth closeted, family echoes of Edward's dad. I weaponized it, he admitted. Pushed him to prove, lost him to truth. Humanity's thread. We're all fractured mirrors, reflecting flaws. Thanks, I said, meaning it. For owning it, he smiled, genuine. Write me in kinder, if you do. Summer sealed shifts. Edward's text heard about the film. Proud. Coffee, friends, met with rain check. Healing. No bitterness, just boundaries. Tribeca premiere, house packed. Lights dimming on our story, fictionalized. But veins true, two men. Betrayals bridged by forgiveness's fragile span. Post-screening Q&A. Applause thundering. A voice from shadows. Edward. Suit sharp. I soft. Beautiful, he mouthed, then slipped out. After-party haze. Toasts. Tears from cast. Mom beaming via video. Dawn found me on the fire escape. Cigarette glowing. City humming below. Footsteps, familiar tread. Edward. Tentative. Hands in pockets. Can I join? I nodded, passing the smoke. Silence companionable. Stars winking complicit. I'm better, he said finally. Therapy. Dad's visits, rainbow flags in Philly now. Solo still, but open, echoed possibility. Me too. Films out, hearts mending. No rushes, he chuckled, low. Fair. But when you're ready, I'd wait. You're the plot twist I didn't see coming, the good one. I turned. His face illuminated, older, wiser, achingly familiar. Our fingers brushed, spark reigniting, not storm but steady flame. No kiss, not yet, just the lean, shoulders touching, Brooklyn's skyline our witness. Months wove tentative, coffee evolving to walks, laughs reclaiming rusty edges. Edward's guitar jams in parks. My scripts read aloud over wine. Ronald faded to footnote, holiday card. Thriving in chaos. No strings. Fall equinox. We drove east. Not west's wild chase, but deliberate. Cape Cod cottages. Waves whispering absolution. Bonfire night. Embers dancing. Edward's hand in mine. I love you, he said. Simple. Sure. Whole now. If you'll have me. I did, kissing him salt spray fierce. Bodies aligning like homecoming. No perfection promised. Just presence. The mess made meaningful. Back in Brooklyn. Lease renewed, our names. Unerasable. Pride 27. Marching tandem. Signs swapped for intertwined arms. Mom's wedding kugel joke premature, but whispers of rings in Springsteen songs. Life's not cinema, no tidy credits, just sequels in progress. Betrayal scarred, but humanism heals. Forgiveness not erasure, but evolution. Edward and I, anchors entwined, weather storms with scars as maps. In the end, the surprise wasn't the closet spill, but survival's grace, the love that bends, breaks, rebuilds. American as apple pie and back alley truths, our story unfolds. Dramatic, emotional, romantic, raw. And damn if it isn't worth every word.